Hello, I'm Dr. John Rollins, and you've are watching this video because you've probably come across something on the internet that suggests that a Mannatech is a scam, or someone has referred you to this video because of your questions and they think that I might be able to provide some answers for you. Either way, I hope to take a few minutes to fill in the gaps and to answer the questions that you might have on Mannatech and its track record. You know, the internet is a very useful tool, and it's very easy for someone to post information, and it doesn't matter sometimes or whether that information is correct or accurate. When some folks ask me questions like this, I have several points that I share with them that clarify things very quickly. And that's why we're doing this video, and that's what we plan to share with you right now. But before we do that, let me share a little bit with you about myself, about why you should even be listening to me. I'm a developmental biologist by training, holding 2 master's degrees and a Ph.D. I've also worked at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, 2 medical schools in the country, so that gives me a unique perspective. And at the Patent Office, for instance, my specialty was carbohydrate chemistry, carbohydrate compositions. And so that this technology of Mannatech fits right in with the kinds of technologies that I examine and issued patents on through the 1980s, 1990s, and into the 2000s. So I have a unique perspective on this technology, the products, and so forth. When people approach me about Mannatech, the first thing I'll always point out is how thoroughly Mannatech conducts research that validates its products. Mannatech, of course, does research in-house, but Mannatech also seeks out expert scientists to conduct research around the world. And numerous studies have already been performed and conducted on the Ambrotos product alone. 2 studies come to mind, one conducted in Washington, D.C., and the other in Australia. In both of these sets of studies, these were conducted, that is, in the fashion that the biomedical professionals like to see, that is, the doctors like to see. These were double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical studies with healthy adults. And in both of these instances, the studies indicated that Ambrotos helps to improve brain function or cognitive ability. Now, for details on these studies and others, you can go to mannatechscience.org. Again, that's mannatechscience.org. There you will get the details, the actual printed publications that have been presented in peer-reviewed journals. Currently, Mannatech holds over 50 patents on Ambrotos alone around the world. So Mannatech owns this technology. 50 patents, keep that in mind. On top of all of that, Mannatech's 180-day satisfaction guarantee is one of the longest of any company in the industry. So that gives you a sense of how Mannatech feels about the ability of its products to perform. Not only that, Mannatech itself, at the taping of this video, has been around for more than 17 years. And scams, folks, just simply don't last that long. One additional point I'd like to bring up is that Mannatech has one of the most rewarding compensation plans in the direct sales industry. That speaks to the company's dedication to its sales force of independent associates. Keep in mind, Mannatech pays its associates well. Scams don't do that. Let me talk for a few minutes about how I was introduced to the technology that led to the development of Ambrotos and glyconutrients. My initial reactions took place while I was working at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office as a biotech patent examiner. This occurred in the 1980s, mid-1980s, when I was examining a series of applications from an inventor that was claiming that he had been able to isolate a particular compound from aloe, and that this compound happens to be a saccharide or a sugar, a complex sugar that supports the immune system and that supports cell-to-cell communication. Now, the utilities, that is the use of the product, didn't bother me so much, but I was really skeptical because this was a sugar that he was talking about. And folks, in the industry, in the glycobiology technologies, sugars didn't have that kind of status to be able to support, say, the immune system or to support cell-to-cell communication, so that we were very skeptical about this. And as time went on, we did have a face-to-face interview with the inventor, and when I began to understand the technology a little bit more, it was a goose pimple raising experience for me. And so that as the technology grew into the development of ambrotos, I followed that technology even through the patenting of the ambrotos product. Now, I was not directly involved in the patenting of ambrotos, but we could see that this discovery really was going against the grain of what glycobiologists were thinking. This theory of supporting the immune system, of supporting cell-to-cell communication, was 180 degrees away from the thinking of the traditional carbohydrate chemist. But we've seen over the years that new ways of approach, new ways of research over the last 15 years have continued to provide support for this theory surrounding ambrotos. And it's based on validated research. Now, of course, we understand why a new scientific theory, particularly one as bold and as game-changing as this is, received such scrutiny. In the scientific community, they are very cautious, and for good reason, about embracing new theories. So they're looking for evidence, they're looking for validation, they're looking for what's needed to support the new theory, this new idea. And, with that being said, it certainly doesn't take away from the validity of what the pioneers of this discovery were saying and what they were thinking. And this certainly is the case with ambrotos, Mannatech's flagship product. As a pioneer of glyconutrients, Mannatech has blazed the trail for this whole new category of nutrition and continues to overcome the obstacles of questions and debates, and in some cases, unfounded accusations. That's simply how science works, and that's simply what pioneers have to face. Lastly, you may be aware that in the late 2000s, the Attorney General of the state of Texas called for Mannatech to cease and desist the distribution of any scientific literature, consumer testimonials, or websites linking their products to any disease-related condition. Mannatech entered into an agreed judgment with the state of Texas, but did not admit to any wrongdoings. This chapter of Mannatech's history makes it a better company today. Mannatech has improved its compliance issues and has become very rigorous in these efforts. And also, Mannatech has endured the tests that many other companies simply have not even had to face. It has made Mannatech stronger and very unlike any company to be considered a scam or a fraud. As we draw this to a close, I hope my perspective has helped you form your own opinions. At the end of it all, Mannatech distributes some of the most renowned, well-respected nutritional products in the world, and has been doing so since 1994. And it has persevered the test and trials of being an innovator. And, by the way, my wife and I are Mannatech associates. We decided many, many years ago that when we retired that we would join the ranks of associates in getting this message out. And by the way, you can become an associate as well. So let me thank you again for indulging us and looking at this video. And we hope you come to a conclusion that will benefit both you and your loved ones.